So what happens whenever you mix HR tech, C-suite candor, and a can of Diet Mountain Dew? Well, you get Tim Sackett. He's a global HR influencer, board advisor, and an overall talent rebel. He's going to be sharing his top 3 predictions that will reshape HR and recruiting in 2026. Our iCIMS Fireside Chats are designed to tackle today's hottest topics with leading experts, analysts, and practitioners in 25 minutes or less. Let's hear what Tim has to say about what to expect in 2026. All right, so our guest for the Fireside Chat today, you have to be under a rock in recruiting if you've never heard the name Tim Sackett. So, Mr. Tim, welcome to the show. Welcome to our Fireside Chat.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited about this conversation.
I am too. So, beginning of the year, everyone starts talking about predictions. And I thought, who else has a pulse on the market other than yourself? So let's just talk. What are the top 3 predictions you have for 2026?
I'm going to start off with one that because I'm such a fan of the technology piece of this, I really believe like this AI screening piece has so many positive kind of attributes that's going to impact TA. And so when we say like AI screening, it's just basically, whether it's video, audio, it's the ability for AI to go and actually kind of pre-screen every single candidate that applies to your jobs. Mm-hmm. I truly believe that it's going to take mass adoption over the next 12 to 18 months. And so that'll be obviously in 2026. And I say that because the companies I've already seen turn it on, like it's sticky. Like they don't go back. They're just like, oh, wait a minute. Like this is kind of a hack that no one knows about right now. And it's actually a really inexpensive hack. And it opens up their team a lot of capacity to do a lot of other cooler things like cultural fit assessments and just really dig down deep, into candidates and hiring managers and spend more time building those relationships. The other piece I think is like, for all the talk of like death of DE&I and blah, 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 like this might be the most inclusive technology there is. You're giving 100% of people a chance to come in and take a part of it. What do you think on this? Like, I just think that to me, it's one of those technologies that I look at and go, oh boy, like, hey, this is going to change some things.
It's interesting. As you were talking, I was thinking through data that supports it. So I think it was our August workforce report, we actually looked at what's really going on in TA. And we partnered with Lighthouse Advisory and Research, got some of their research, and looked at what's going on in TA. And one of the questions was, select the top 2 areas where you see the most ROI from AI. The first one was job assessment and screening. And then the second one was job matching. So that definitely tracks with what you're saying. The next question was, with all of this extra time and productivity, what are recruiters doing with it? And it made my heart just smile whenever I saw the very first one was doing exactly what you're talking about, spending more time in the interview. And not just like the cultural fit, but just going, hey, Tim, I know you really, you applied for the software development role, but based off of your skill assessment, you can actually go into product management. Has anybody ever talked to you about that? So for former practitioner, I'm looking at it not just from a recruiting, but retention starts with recruiting. So if I'm leveraging the skill assessment to open up another opportunity for someone, it's a win-win, at least in my opinion.
Trent, like I take a look at like over the last like really 10 years, like we haven't had like a major impact on like retention. And we go back and go, okay, well, why is that? Is it just, we have bad managers or, blah, blah, blah. And I'm always like, well, no, I think we've sped up the recruiting process so fast that we're getting a lot of false positives that we're like, okay, this person can actually do the job. Cool. Let's hire them. And they get in and they either hate us or they hate the manager or they hate their team or whatever. And we're not spending enough time like going and saying, hey, let me talk to you about this manager that you're going to work for, right? This person has a couple of quirks that you might like, you might dislike, but let's talk about that and let's be kind of open. Like we used to be able to have those conversations because we were slow enough, right? That people would dig in. And now it's just like, we got to run and get the interview. And now here's the offer. I need you to accept. And all of a sudden we go, oh my gosh, 90 days in, the person's like hating their job. They're like, they were a high performer from where they came. So why all of a sudden now are they terrible? It's like, I just like, we're not taking enough time.
Definitely. And the other data point that kind of sticks out to me is that we looked at, I want to say, the graduating class of 2025. So this is a little while back. And in our platform data, 63%, I believe, don't quote me, but I think it's like 63% of applicants that we track is they're in that Gen Z and the millennial. So, just kind of frame that. Most of them would prefer to showcase their skills, not in an interview, but in an assessment. Like, let me show you what I can do. But also, too, think about, the whole tell me about a time. That's great. But think of how that's going to evolve with going, hey, you've got this product management skill set. Tell me, how have you handled situations like this? It totally reframes like the question, the intent, the evaluation. And I agree with you on the manager piece. The last part of my recruiting career was on executive level. Usually I was recruiting for direct reports to the CEO or one of their direct. So I could take my time. And I would get into it and say, hey, working for Tim, he is very structured. There is no fluff. His deadline on Tuesday actually means he wants it by 10 a.m. on Monday, and if there's someone that's just kind of a free spirit, look, you may be the best person in the world, but you two will kill each other. This is the right fit. So I agree with you. I think it's going to open up more of those conversations to find the right fit, which is where retention starts. So, and then in the bias piece, I want to unpack that a little bit. Do you think that eventually, so we already know kind of what the technology can do, the AI assessments, and let's go one step further and say there's an AI note taker that is sitting with you as the hiring manager, helping take the notes and helping you kind of craft that feedback, that feedback loop, which has been the bane of all of our existence. What if it can actually go in and say, you know what? I've noticed, this is going to the recruiter, I've noticed that Tim asked different questions from someone who graduated from a 2-year degree versus the 4-year degree, and they graduated in the South. You might just want to talk. Let's
just call a spade a spade. I know Tim asks different questions of women than he does men, blah, blah, blah. Right. Like that's all the bias stuff that comes in. I truly do. I agree. I think AI is going to give us this opportunity to become as bias free as we can through education, through evidence, through being able to pick people out. I love potentially seeing like a full, like a live funnel. So like if I know, and let's just make it up for argument's sake, let's just say we have a 50-50 male female apply, right? Not to like leave anybody out, just saying 50-50 male female. And all of a sudden we get through an assessment and it's like, oh, now we're 60-40. So wait a minute, that should throw a red flag up for some people, right? Oh, we get through some interviews, now we're 70-30. We get to offers, now we're 80-20. Like, where are we? How is AI going? Hey, wait a minute, we're starting to slide to this bias, and let's figure out where this is before it becomes a real problem. I think that's so powerful.
Well, and all of us who have worked in recruiting, we've always had a gut. Something's not right here. Now we're actually going to have the data, to be able to prove it. So that way it's not so accusatory. It's just going, hey, Mr. and Miss Manager, here's some data points. I want to kind of talk through it. Have you noticed that you're doing this? So that way it's more of a coaching versus an accusatory conversation, which always ends better when you frame it that way. So
100%.
I'm totally excited. And also to the other data point is that if you're looking at the funnel, where is the highest consternation and pressure for undercut TA teams right now? It's getting through. It's not top of the funnel. It's that next step. So it makes sense that that's where the ROI is.
Yeah, 100%. I think the other, the one like prediction is we're going to start to see some live, like full AI processed hiring kinds of things. Now, probably it'll start in this kind of like, low end skill, like no skill, low skill kind of hiring. But we're going to see some companies like actually try this out, and we'll see some that like it'll be awful, and we'll see some that I'm like, oh my gosh, this changed our life. Do I think AI can do it better than humans? No, I think what AI will be able to produce is a more consistent average experience than humans can overall. Like thinking of this like low skill, no skill kind of hiring, right? So I think massive volume, think it day in, day out, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. It can provide a very consistent average experience for hiring, that level of candidate. Just my opinion. Can it ever be greater than that? I don't know. Maybe. And that's my third thing we'll talk about, because I think there's maybe some way that we could make that. But I think we're going to have companies start to test it and go, hey, I have a manufacturing facility over here. We're doing it our traditional way. And I have one over here, and we're going to try to automate as much as we can, maybe 100% of it. And let's see what happens. And I think you're going to have some companies come out of it and go, hey, that's actually better. Now, they're going to think it's actually better. They're comparing it to something that was subpar. That's my problem, is that they don't realize that they're going to say, oh, we hired this way for years, and now this is so much better. And you're like, well, because you were awful. and now you're average.
It was a low bar.
It was a low bar. Yeah. So that's the hard part, because I know that's the case, but they don't want to admit that they're bad. They just want to think they're average, and now this is above average. And I'm like, probably not. You were probably below, and now this is average. So.
So I do want to kind of highlight something that you said that I think a lot of TA companies, I think this is a fallacy that they do. They just go in and say, hey, department, for all of our frontline hiring, we're going all AI. And I love what you said. Test this one against this one. Do some A/B testing.
Yeah.
Use one to what is that saying? Iron sharpens iron. Use that to kind of, really kind of figure out, okay, what's working and what's not. Maybe you don't go all AI from beginning to offer, but maybe 60% of it except for the hiring manager interview, because I don't know that hiring managers on the front line will just say, yeah, just send me someone. I don't know that their adoption is that high yet. So maybe do everything all the way up until that point, and then just schedule them with the manager, and then pick it up with AI. So there's a lot of different ways that you could approach that. But you're thinking we're going to start seeing some companies kind of rise to the occasion and say, here's a case study of how to do it in best practice.
Yeah, it already has this, right? Like you can apply and get an offer from Amazon in like around 20, 30 minutes right now. And so, what they do is just kind of be like, hey, do you meet the bare minimum standards of what we would hire? And then we throw you in, and they automatically know we're just going to wash out probably 50% or more of these people, right? So so they want to say that they have this fully automated kind of thing. At the end of the day, they're just super like aggressive in terms of just jamming people into the funnel and getting them to the onboard stage, or kind of pre-training, whatever, that all might be. And they just know there's going to be a certain expense to that, but they have to hire so many that they're willing to just kind of do that. Right. So I don't think that's necessarily what I'm talking about, but like, I think there's some like examples out there that are probably close to what, that we're seeing. People just don't really want to talk live about it. Right. Cause I think there's still a blowback within the media that would be like, oh my gosh, McDonald's Corporation is not using real people to hire you. And you're like, oh, come back. Like,
I mean, in the current market that we have, do you really think that someone who's been out of work for as long, I mean, if you look at the long unemployment average, it's going higher. Do you really think they care?
They don't care. They want the job. Yeah.
They
don't care.
You shortest distance,
the job.
2 points, right?
Now, could it be in a competitive market? Could it be differentiator for you to have a more human touch than an automated touch when you're competitive candidates? For sure. Like that. I mean, everyone's going to make that. To me, that's the cool part of like testing all this stuff, is everyone's going to find their own secret sauce that kind of makes sense for them, and then kind of make it here, which leads me to my third one, which is and you guys, obviously, I think is it Athlete, right? That you guys purchased this year.
Athlete.
So high volume hiring, conversational kind of AI apply. I think we're going to see conversational apply go beyond apply for the candidate experience to hire, or maybe even to onboarding, where a candidate can have live conversation with AI that says like, hey, I applied 3 days ago. I haven't heard anything. What's going on? Here's what we need from the tech side is you have to have enough signals. So you have to have your people actually using the tech and going, oh, hey, they're in this stage, and the AI can go in and say, okay, hey, you were forwarded on to the hiring manager. They actually are on vacation. And And so give us a couple more days till they get back. And, we hope that we can set up this interview for you or whatever. Right. And even,
Yeah.
like whatever it might be, but let's say even post apply post interview. So now they've interviewed and it's been 24 hours. They're freaking out. They haven't heard a thing. And they could just go and say, hey, I had the interview with Trent. Like, how did it go? And it has all of Trent's notes. It actually, it recorded the interview. And it also, by the way, knows every other interview that was happening. So it might already know that, hey, you're going to be dispositioned. You were awful comparable to 3 other candidates that we loved.
You remember the 8-ball thing? It's kind of like said, what was it? It seems highly unlikely or something.
Highly unlikely. It's like, okay. But like it actually could go back. And again, in a converse, like people get nervous because they're like going, well, the AI could just say anything. You're like, well, no. In a conversational AI kind of context with bumpers and all the stuff that it has around it, it's going to give a very professional, very legal answer that says, hey, based on the other interviews that have taken place, doesn't look like this position you're going to move forward to the next step, but here's some other things that we'd love to see you increase and come back and apply, or here's another couple of jobs that maybe take a different skill set that we have, apply there, right? I've even talked to a couple of employers who have like this kind of unlimited LMS that says, what if we offer actually to give them free courses to take too, to increase skill sets, whatever. Now, again, are they going to take advantage? Probably not, but you're at least kind of giving them
that's a buying signal.
Quick feedback and giving them, opportunity and some other stuff. You're instead of just going, hey, thank you so much for interviewing. We've decided to move on. Bam. Which feels so impersonal for the investment that they made. Now, so like, I think it's one of those things like towards the last quarter of this year, I've been having these conversations with a lot of companies using this kind of high volume apply. And that's the one thing they're like, well, God, like it's great. And it gets us all the stuff to right here. Right. And then it's all jammed back to us again. And like, well, wait a minute, what about these other steps that it could really help with? And most of it's around candidate experience.
And I love how you actually called out bringing it all the way to onboarding. I think that's, especially if you're looking at high volume hiring, that's a huge off there, right? So if you can leverage that conversational AI, not just to have you done your I-9 or have you filled out this government form, to, hey, the company gives you a $50 gift certificate to its swag store. Here's a link. Might I suggest these 3 items? They are the most popular. Here is a day 1 video of, everyone that you're going to meet, here's what the company does, like all of those different touch points. And what we're, at least in my experience, what we missed in onboarding was the immersion part. We wait for the immersion for one, but it can start so much cleaner and more engaged once that person says it, dude.
We also drop a basic human psychology of this feeling of wanting and being desired. We did this in the recruiting cycle. We made them feel wanted. We made them feel desired. And then they got the job. And then we jam this HR process at them like they're in prison, like they're a government employee or something. Like it feels so awful. And instead of going, well, wait a minute, what if we could layer in more of these kind of, we still want you, we still desire you kind of touch points. It's like, oh my gosh, here's a little video from the team telling you that they're going to take you out to lunch on your first day. And like all this stuff. And all of a sudden you're like, you feel good about it. Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. When you were talking about the recruiting process, I think probably the best metaphor I'm going to use going forward, you travel as much as I do. TSA, it's like you wait in this long line and then you wait and you have to unpack all your stuff and you wait to go through the security line. What happens once your stuff goes through that belt? It's like they are flying through. You're like putting on your belt, putting on, like trying to get all your stuff. I can't, thinking about it, I was like, that's
a good analogy. Yeah.
Get all your stuff and get out and, get to your flight or get to your job. So just to wrap up, big one, number 1 was AI assessments.
Screening.
And number 2?
That was the full example of like AI hiring completely soup to nuts,
Awesome. And then number 3, you're thinking
conversational AI post apply. Yeah. And like we already have like the apply kind of AI scheduling interview. It's all the feedback loop, right? Like what's going on? It's the elimination of the black hole that's still there. it's so real for all these candidates, right? And it seems like it's even getting worse,
Mm-hmm. And it's funny. One of the big pushbacks, I don't know about you, but I get whenever I start saying let AI kind of handle the feedback aspect until a human can get back involved, they go, that's so impersonal. I'm like, and how we're handling it by the person is not impersonal. Like, to me, at least giving them access to
Yeah.
get feedback.
Your
That's
crappy mass disposition email. Like, stop.
thank
You want to talk
you.
about impersonal? Gosh.
Oh, yeah, totally agree. Well, I knew that you would have a read on what to expect in 2026. So
I
can I
don't
get
know
a
if it'll happen or not, but I love talking about it. And I think it's like those things that I always try to look at from a practitioner standpoint. You and I both were in the weeds
Mhm.
doing this, and my team still does. And so it's like, what are the things that I think would have the biggest impact the quickest for, again, for the least amount of money, like in all of these kinds of things. And those to me are the ones that potentially are there. There's so, like with the AI stuff, there's so much potential for so much testing. And like you had talked about, like getting back to this kind of software mentality of A/B testing. I don't need multi locations. I could do it with one department manager to another department manager. Like,
Absolutely.
we're just gonna like just try some stuff and see what happens.
Yeah, and even in some enterprise level, you have one department leader who's actually got multiple departments that you can test and have that one leader being that sounding board, and build the process with them.
Yeah.
Make sure that you're gathering their feedback and getting all of that. So,
Yep.
all right. So if we're doing predictions, I'm going to call you back in December of 2026, and we're gonna check your accuracy, sir.
Let's do it.
Awesome. Well, in case someone hasn't been following you, where can people connect with you?
Pretty easy. Like I kind of got like I own all the Google SEO for Tim Sackett. So that's you could just Google Tim Sackett, timsackett.com. I don't know if the GPTs and the Groks and all of those have me as high, but I'm sure you could find me there as well. So
I'm going to go on Grok and say what it says about you. That's going to be fun. I'll send you a text about it. I will say though, I did do mine on Grok. Because like, what do you know about Trent Cotton? And it went through and it was pretty accurate.
Yeah.
One bullet that I actually clipped and I posted to my socials. I said, okay, I feel seen. It said, also known for his high sense of fashion.
Ooh, you're like, all right. You're like, hey, I'll take that, right?
I will take it. Well, Tim,
you always look good. So hey,
every time I talk to you. So I appreciate you joining, and I will call you back in December. We'll check your math.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Take care.